Hello, DGE. Greetings from rainy California. I'm really grateful that I have this time to share with you. And while I'm getting used to imagining that I'm speaking to living, breathing people instead of this little dot on an iPad, I thought it might be helpful for all of us if we just got quiet for a minute to start. So I invite you to close your eyes and put down your pen and whatever you might be holding. If you don't want to close your eyes and you just want to stare at me closing my eyes, be my guest. Otherwise, I invite you right now to just pay attention to your breath and perhaps put a hand on your heart. And with your next breath, just breathing right into your heart. And continuing to breathe in and out of your heart. I just invite you to contemplate the miracle that you are and the miracle that it is that you're sitting in the room you're sitting in right now. Now just beginning with the overwhelming odds of your mom and dad finding each other, getting together. And even when they got together to do the thing they apparently did, when you were conceived, just pondering the fact that something like 300 trillion different human beings could have resulted from that. And yet, once again, here you are. And thinking about all the choices, all the things you've said and done that might have led you in a different direction. And just appreciating every choice, every moment, everything that's brought you to this beautiful moment. Thank you, and you can open your eyes. Thanks for playing with me. I just wanted to share with you that early on in my chiropractic career, which started about 33 years ago, I learned, actually I think it was at Parker seminars, that when people seek chiropractic care, they are essentially looking for three questions to be answered, and that is, will it help? How long will it take? And how much will it cost? And considering that, I think it's rather obvious that our answers to those questions are going to depend on what it is, how we define it, how we define our highest purpose. So I ask you to consider for a moment, what is your it? What is your highest purpose for chiropractic? What do you see as your highest purpose for yourself? How big is your idea for chiropractic? I'm going to take a guess here and assume that if you've been in chiropractic for any length of time, your it has changed, expanded. I know that was true for me, has been true for me, and continues to be true for me. But what I want to ask you to consider right now is the fact that in my own experience, and in my experience working and talking with thousands of chiropractors around the world, what I've noticed is oftentimes the vision of it that we hold in our hearts is a lot different than the vision of it that we communicate. I know for many years I withheld a big piece of the vision that I had in my heart and pretty much communicated the vision that I had in my head. And the vision that I had in my head was more about what I thought people could accept, or what I thought people were ready for, or what I thought people expected of me. And so for many years my it was basically that. Whatever I thought you wanted and whatever I thought you were expecting of me is what became it. Now, I know some of you could probably say the same things, and I know a lot of you could say that your vision has grown, and maybe your vision is very large right now, like mine, because my vision of chiropractic is essentially freeing people up and allowing them to express the unlimited love and the unlimited healing and the unlimited everything that is contained in their innate intelligence, to experience a life fully expressed on all levels. So what I found is all the its that I had over the years Not that they were wrong, or not that they were any less important or less noble. They just were limiting the possibilities. So I ask you to think about what your heart it is, the it that you hold in your heart. And I give you a big hint. It's probably what you're feeling right now, being at a seminar. I remember very well going to seminars and getting all excited, and of course being around like-minded people, and we would all encourage each other and rah, rah, rah. And I would leave a seminar with the strongest of intentions to share the chiropractic story in all its bigness with everybody and anybody, no matter what they came to me for or what they were expecting or what they were thinking it was about. And then, the first person that comes in on Monday is a crotchety woman or somebody who complains about symptoms. And besides that, you come back in your office and everything looks the same. And, it's the same tables and the same staff and the same walls and the same pictures. And it's just very easy to lapse back into what our head is used to communicating. And again, a lot of times that's based on fear. It's fear of rejection or fear of failure or fear of success or whatever our particular fears are. I just ask you to ponder for a second the possibility that you can communicate with no fear exactly what your biggest it is. And I got to tell you that the more I did that, the more my vision of chiropractic expanded, and the more my vision of myself expanded so I could communicate that vision, the more fun I had in practice, the more success I had in practice, the more fulfillment I had in practice, the more presence I had with people, the better my results were, the more people experienced as a result of their care. And so again, I'm not judging whatever your it might be, but if your it is bigger than what you're communicating, I think that's something to look at. So, again, as mine grew, I had a lot less fear, and I had a lot less fear about communicating. And a lot of that had to do with what I was taking responsibility for. I'll explain that more in a second. I just have to tell you that I learned a lot, or my vision really expanded as a result of mission trips that I did. I did 6 mission trips in Central America, and the first 4 times we went to Panama. And I have to tell you that it expands your vision when you work with people that you can't talk to, so you obviously have no idea of what their expectations or belief systems are about chiropractic, and just to simply give them my gift without any strings attached and to see miracles happening left and right, both for them and for me, was a permanent expansion of my vision. And I saw how much I was previously limiting the possibilities for people in the way I communicated chiropractic. And actually what I found out was most of the things I was saying were really kind of getting in the way. Because in Panama there was no talking really whatsoever. It was just us bringing a strong intention and a huge it, and people magically and mysteriously wanting it to the point where they would wait for hours and they would walk for miles. I mean, the 3rd time we went to Panama, 147 chiropractors adjusted close to 400,000 people. And even though we did some advertising, the first days on all the missions were kind of slow, but somehow the word got out. And again, we would sit in the hotel at night and try to figure out why this was happening. And I doubt people were going back to their towns and villages and telling people, well, you got to come see these chiropractors. They're cracking necks. I don't think that's what they were saying to each other. Again, I don't really know what they were saying, but to see those possibilities and to see people get up out of wheelchairs and to work in schools for disabled kids and hear how they were smiling for the first time in their lives, I mean, these things, again, forever stretched my it to the point where it could never go back to what it was before, and also gave me the confidence to tell the truth about it and to share what the possibilities were for everybody, because I don't believe these things are only possible for people who speak Spanish. For me, the it of chiropractic is unlimited because innate is unlimited. It's unlimited in our ability to heal and to manifest our dreams in every area of life. So again, why shouldn't my communication be in line with that? Why should I take responsibility for things that are not mine? And I know now that when I did that, when I took responsibility for things like people healing up, when I was honest enough to tell people I don't know how to cure a ham, but you have an intelligence within you that can heal anything, and all I'm doing is setting that in motion, again, that became a lot more freeing, a lot more fun, and a lot more honest. And the more I grew in that, the less I felt I had to convince people or sell people or change their belief systems or create value in their minds, and simply share the good news of a life fully expressed, because what has more value than that? I encourage you to think about, I'll share with you this, that the most common question I probably get when I'm speaking around the world is, how do you stay on purpose? How do you stay motivated? How do you stay enthusiastic? And I believe I've already given you the answer. That I found it was almost impossible not to stay motivated and enthusiastic when I told people the truth. And I got to see the magic of innate working in people's lives each and every day. And the less I took responsibility for what happened, because, honestly, I don't know what's going to happen when I adjust somebody. I don't know what's going to happen when I free up the intelligence that created them to do whatever it needs to do within them. I don't have the blueprint. I don't know the priorities. I don't know what people need. And somewhere along the way, I stopped basing on what I did on what people told me they thought they needed. And that might sound cold, but I really felt it was the most loving thing, because if I focused on their limited idea of what was possible, then I was contributing to limiting the possibilities for them. So to give you an example, I had a gentleman who came to me for a couple of months, and every time he got adjusted, he would complain about his shoulder. And every time he complained about his shoulder, I would repeat what I had told him the first time I saw him, which was, I'm not here to fix your shoulder. I don't really know how to fix your shoulder. I'm not a shoulder fixer. I am here to remove interference and allow the power of life, the power that created you, the power that created your shoulder, to do whatever it needs to do. It knows how to recreate your shoulder, but is that the highest priority thing for you? Is that what you need? How long will that take? I have no idea. I'm here for one purpose, and that's not it. And somehow he would kind of get that until the next time he came in, and we would go through the same song and dance again. So I'm sure you've had experiences like this. And the other reason I was thinking after a couple of months of this that he wasn't really getting it was that he used to bring his 5-year-old with him. And even though I asked him every single time he came in if I could check her, he would say no for various reasons. So one day I decided he was in the wrong place. And I felt to tell him the truth. I should tell him that, you need to be somewhere where they fix shoulders, because that's apparently what you want. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I mean, I've had shoulder problems. I like when they feel better too. I'm not judging you. I'm just saying this is probably not the right place. But before I could deliver this speech that I had prepared, I got a little thought flash from Innate when he came in the next time, and it was to ask him if anything had changed in his life. And so I did that. I said, you know what, I hear you're saying your shoulder's not where you'd like it to be. Has anything changed as a result of your 2 months of care? It's impossible for me to believe that nothing has changed. And he says, like what? And so I ran through some really common things that just about everybody reports, and he denied that anything has changed. So again, I was about to tell him that he was in the wrong place, and I got another thought flash. It was a big day for thought flashes. I got one that said, ask her. And if you're looking confused right now, I was kind of confused about that message too. I didn't even know who her was. But I looked around, and there was only one her, and it was this guy's 5-year-old who was out playing with my toys. And I said, well, it must be her. So I called her in. Her name was Emma. And I said, Emma, while I'm asking her this question, I'm thinking this was kind of the silliest thing I'd ever done, but hey, I did it anyway. And I said, Emma, have you noticed in these 2 months you've been coming in here with your dad, anything change or anything different about your dad? And surprise to both of us, Emma started to cry, and to cry rather vociferously, and she bawled, and finally she catches her breath, and she says, yeah, Dr. Stu, he's not hitting me anymore. And again, a big vision expanding moment. And, I tell that story all over the world, and the reason I do is, first of all, it's true, and second of all, I think it's a great story to illustrate a lot of things that I've said already. I mean, I didn't know he was hitting his child. I didn't learn an adjustment in school to stop somebody from hitting their child. But again, through my just holding a vision for him of all possibilities and just freeing up the wisdom that created him, he apparently got what he needed. And I was so proud of myself in that moment for not limiting the possibilities and not doing what I learned in school and simply manipulating or electrocuting or doing stuff with his shoulder to make it feel better. Again, that wouldn't have been a terrible thing, but it certainly wasn't as big a result as we got. So I started to talk about how do you stay motivated. When you see these kind of things all the time, it's, again, impossible not to stay motivated. I remember somebody asking Herb Reaver, and I don't know if you know who Herb Reaver is, but excuse the should, but you should. Because Herb Reaver was the most jailed chiropractor in chiropractic's history. And he practiced well into his 90s. And I remember seeing him at a seminar when he was in his 90s. Somebody asked him the same question. How did you stay motivated and on purpose all these years? And he was very confused by the question, first of all. But when he finally understood what the person was asking him, he just looked at him and he said, I get to teach people every single day about innate. And I can't tell you how much that answer meant to me and how much it's become true in my life. So the bigger that my vision got and the bigger my ability to communicate it got, also the good news was that the more people got it and the more people wanted it. So I just ask you at this moment, and maybe you want to write this down to do later, but what is your it? What's your biggest it? You know, whatever our it is, that's what we take into every moment that we're with people, every moment that we're taking care of people. And so what would it be like if we only took into every interaction with everybody we ever touched? What if we only took the highest possibilities for them, and none of our fears, and none of our false responsibilities, and none of our worrying about convincing people or whether they're going to get it or whether they are ready for it or any of that stuff? What if we just took in a vision of their highest possibilities? Then, you know, maybe your office and mine would be more like Panama, and we'd have 5,000 people waiting for us when we showed up in the morning. You know, you might have to get some extra help, but that's okay. So I would invite you maybe when you get home to sit down and write down what your highest vision for chiropractic is. What would your practice be like if you had no fear? If you had no fear of what people thought, if you had no worries about what they would accept, if you had no doubts about telling the truth, what would it be like? Because right now I just ask you to entertain the possibility that everything you say and everything you do can be in alignment with that. You can start with that and gear everything you say, all your procedures, all your policies, to building bridges for people to receive that it. But it all starts with what it you're bringing to your interactions with people. And you know, maybe that scares you, or maybe you don't know how to go about it, or maybe you're trying to get there in one big jump, or maybe, you know, I don't know. Now, there's an old Native American saying that you can't get across a 10-foot chasm in 2 5-foot leaps. However, before you attempt a 10-foot leap, you might want to train a little bit. So I'm asking you simply to hold the biggest vision of it that you have, to hold it, and then look each day, each moment for the next step, the next thing, the next word, the next action, the next procedure that can be more in alignment with that. And just watch those things happen. Baby steps are great. You know, maybe not across a 10-foot chasm, but until you get to the point where you're ready, that would be a great thing to do. And maybe the 10-foot leap that you can take right now is to just make an intention, to grow your it, and to make the biggest it for yourself and for chiropractic your life's purpose. You know, you and I have a huge it, an unlimited it, in our hands and in our hearts and in our minds, that we could share with people that the world desperately needs. That there are people probably within a half a mile where you are right now who are dying for what you and I have in our hearts and minds. I just ask you to define your it, grow your it every day, nurture your it, grow in your ability to share it, do the work you need to do on yourself to have the courage to tell the truth, and let's watch this world change. I want to thank you for loving what I love. I want you to know that I love and appreciate you, even if I can't really see you. And I would like to end with, or actually just the way that my friend and mentor Dick Santo always ended his talks, and that was by saying that the innate in me blesses the innate in you. Peace.